Good morning, Year 3, and welcome to day number 15. Can you believe it's been 5 weeks since we last saw each other? Hopefully not too long now. Today, in your writing lesson, I'd like you to explore the 5 different senses. For maths, I'd like you to have a go at the Friday challenge, and then this afternoon, I'd like you to take part in an RE lesson. Okay, be prepared. Today's reading is a scary one. Presenting Chapter 15 of Hamish and the Worldstoppers. The wee small hours. Sometime in the wee small hours, Hamish woke. He opened his eyes and saw the blue light of the moon stretching across his ceiling and down into his room. Maybe he could get straight back to sleep if he was lucky. But as he closed his eyes and wiped the drool from his cheek, he felt a little unsettled. You know in films where they say something like, "It's quiet, too quiet." Well, that's how it felt. Too quiet. Hang on, where was the tick, 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 tick of his alarm clock? Hamish's blood ran cold. He sat up. He listened. He listened hard. But there was no ticking clock. Slowly, quietly, he turned the clock to face him. It had stopped. Hamish gulped hard and lay back down. He squeezed his eyes shut and pretended to be asleep. He wanted to shout out, but if the world had stopped, then everyone would be frozen. Maybe it's the batteries, he thought, trying to reassure himself. Maybe they just ran out, and that's why the clock stopped. But Hamish had to be sure. He needed to be certain. Somehow, he found the strength to pull his covers back and slide out of bed. As silently as he could, he crept towards the window. The world was perfectly still, but it was always still at night, wasn't it? Wait. Look over there. A blackbird hung suspended about a metre from his window, its wings out and silhouetted against the moon. Leaves from trees were frozen in the air around it. It looked like it was about to hit the glass, like Hamish could reach out and touch it. Again, thought Hamish. He slid the sunflower on his windowsill to one side so he could reach the lock, which is when a noise caught him off guard. Not the noise of a weird bugle this time, but something that made him feel even more fearful and queasy. It was a noise like 1,000 whispers, and it was getting louder, louder, and louder. Hamish backed away from the window. His eyes were wide and his shoulders were stiff. Not those things again. Not those terrible things. Where were they coming from? What did they want? Were they coming to get him? And then what? Eat him? He wanted to turn around and run for his bed. He wanted to scream. He wanted to spray the place in tropical pumpkin deodorant. But as he stepped backwards, he noticed the blackbird again. It would hit his window the second the world started again, and he couldn't let that happen. So quickly, he strode back to his window, opened it, turned the bird around, closed his window, and there they were! The things, the awful, white-faced, black-cloaked things, tusks and whispers and clickety-clacketing feet. The coal-black, red-tongued lizard horses. The horde poured around the side of the Ramsface's house, like a gas, filling up their entire garden, their hiss growing by the second. Hamish remained rooted to the spot. He couldn't move now. He had to stay still, just as he'd done the other day in town. Just as the girl with the blue streak in her hair had done too. He watched in horror as 6 of the things started to scamper up the Ramsface's drainpipe, and with their long nails began to trace around the outside of the children's window, slicing around it to open it. 3 or 4 others were doing the same to the back door, while even more of them prowled around the garden, keeping an eye out. What did they want with the ram's faces? Suddenly, the back door burst open and two things lurched out, carrying what looked to be some kind of rag doll in their arms. Hamish tried not to scream as he realised it was Mr. Ram's face. The man was still in his bright pink pyjamas as he was passed down the line, roughly thrown from thing to thing. The door slammed shut behind them as they poured out of the house, taking poor Mr. Ram's face with them. Hamish wanted to bang on the window and shout at them to stop, but he couldn't even move. His heart was thumping in his ears, and the hair was standing up on the back of his neck. And then he felt colder than he'd ever felt before, as he made eye contact with one of the things below. This one wasn't backing away like all of the others. It was standing directly below Hamish's house, in his garden, staring up at the window. It cocked its head, trying to work out why a boy would be staring out of his window at this time of the morning. What was this boy doing there when the world stopped? Slowly, the thing broke away from the rest of the group and headed towards Hamish's house. It was coming. Hamish could hear it testing his drainpipe, pulling at it, clanking it against the wall. Oh no, he thought. What do I do? What do I do? Hamish could hear the thing as it hoisted itself up, pulling itself up the drainpipe, its nails catching the window frame below, grunting and slathering as it made its way up the side of the house. Stay still, thought Hamish. Stay completely still. But now, here it was. Enormous, taking up almost the whole of the window frame, blocking out the moon. Its bony fingers were scraping the window as it tried to find purchase. Its breath was fogging the glass as Hamish tried not to show he was breathing. The thing saw the blackbird, suspended by the window, and screeched as it swiped it away with a heavy, wet fist. The poor bird spun and flipped as it shot through the air, then dropped like a stone into a hedge below. Now the thing stared at Hamish. It looked him up and down, with black eyes that seemed almost to glow, and as it dropped its gaze, it noticed the sunflower that sat between them, and flinched away from it slightly. Tusks tapped the glass, and Hamish could hear its neck creaking as it lowered its head, like it was made out of old wet leather. They were eye to eye now, with the thing staring so hard at Hamish that it felt like it was trying to read his thoughts. It knows I'm faking, thought Hamish, as the thing's eyes bulged once and once only, as it realised that Hamish wasn't frozen. And just as Hamish was about to scream and make a run for his mum's room, Eva! The thing's eyes bulged wider now, but this time in panic. It looked at the sunflower and then at Hamish once more. Eva! It reached for the drainpipe and started to slide down, not taking its awful black eyes off Hamish as it did so. Hamish remained completely still, but let his eyes drop slightly so he could watch the thing bounding over the bins outside the Ramsface's house, and bend a tree almost backwards as it leapt away and into the night. Flash! The world started again. The blackbird rustled in the bushes below, then flapped away stunned. But Hamish didn't feel much relief. They know about me, he thought, with a growing sense of panic, sitting back down on the bed. Now, they know about me. A pretty intense chapter of Hamish and the Worldstoppers. I hope you enjoyed today's reading, children. Please do share your work with me, and if you have any questions, please email me at year3@stalburnrc.beham.sch.uk. Until next time, look after yourselves, take care, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye bye for now.